Hi, how you doing today? I am Arvelyn Lewis. I sell real estate, and I'm talking about first-time buyers today. Um, Frequently, I am getting asked, even by people who have already owned real estate, do I think the market's going to crash? So before I go into that, I just want to talk about my own personal experience. When I first bought a house, I had no clue what I was doing. Didn't know. I was basically following the family tradition, so to speak. Pretty much everybody in my family owned a house. There wasn't really a huge knowledge about renting. So when I bought, I was grown. That was what I was supposed to do. In fact, I kind of left California, which is where I'm actually from, so that I would be able to actually afford to buy a house. Georgia, let me see, when I left a little bit more than 30 years ago to buy a house in California, you get a matchbox on a railroad track for about $300,000. And this is good 30 years ago. So fast forward, now we've got houses that are around 300,000 starter houses. And we think here in Georgia that, oh my God, that's way too expensive. When in California, that's what it was over 30 years ago. So, yeah, I'm feeling like, come on, y'all, get with it. But to tell you more about my personal experience, I moved to Georgia so that I would actually be able to afford a house. And my very first house was somewhere in the 70,000-ish price range. And at that time, the interest rate was nearly 9%. That's what it was. I think, I'm not 100% certain, but I think I had a buy down in there and buy down means that you're buying the interest rate down. So you bring money to the transaction and you pay the bank to bring the interest rate down a few points. Not positive that I personally had, but I think I did. Uh, all the same, I had an adjustable rate loan, which means that the interest rate would be doing this dance and my monthly payments would be doing it too. And that's really what happened. The monthly payments were kind of all over the place because it was an adjustable rate loan. So as the market twisted and bobbed, so did my monthly payment. Adjustable rate loan. Now, again, that was in the 90s when I bought my first house, and I sold it roughly 8 years later. Now, I told you I didn't know what I was doing. I was just kind of doing what the grown-ups do. You buy a house because you're grown. So I did that, and 8 years later, when I sold the house, I was able to pay off all of my student loans and still some of the other things that I needed to pay off in order to go into this higher priced home. So I had paid off some bills, specifically the student loans, and had the down payment to go into the next home. I applied a large 30-ish thousand dollars, and we're talking more than 20 years ago now. So $30,000 was truly a lot of money for the down payment on the home that I went to after the first home. So that's when I realized that buying a house was not just about buying a place to live. It's actually an investment. I heard it was an investment, but I told you I didn't know what I was doing. I really didn't know. It was just, this is the grown-up thing to do. So then I understood when you live in the house and you're able to live there for an extended amount of time, that my time was 8 years, I paid off the loan, which was the other people's money that I used to buy the house, paid that off, paid off some debts that I had accumulated over my lifetime, student loans and whatever, and still had more money that was actually mine to take to the next purchase. Now, to make sure that you understand that actually mine money, had I not decided to buy another house, that money would have just been mine to go and do something stupid with. But instead, I did the smart thing and I put it toward the next home. So that's when I learned that real estate was also an investment, not just a place to live. And that's when I also decided, I think I want to get involved in real estate to better understand what this is about. I did that. So now I'm trying to help others understand what the true investment of real estate really is. You get to use other people's money. Now, you can pay with cash if you want to do that, but why? You can use other people's money. So it's like, excuse me, mister, excuse me, miss, I want to use your money to buy a house for me to live in. And if I stay there long enough, the value of the house that I'm living in will increase. And because of that increase, I will be able to pay you back your money and I'll have some left over for me. That's how real estate works. It's the mortgage, the interest rates, everything that goes along with it working together. Now, this is what everyone is concerned about because we do have the concern about 2007, 2008 when the mortgage industry crashed. That's what most people are really heavily concerned about right now, as the last 2 years have seen the prices shoot up. Everyone's, oh, it's going to correct and it's going to crash. It's not going to crash. Here's why. I told you I personally had an adjustable rate loan back in the 90s, and those were still being sold to consumers early 2000s. Adjustable rate loans, interest only loans. And if you're not paying for the principal, the actual amount of money that is the house, then eventually there's going to have to be something that is paid back. That's where the problem came in 2007 and 8. The adjusting, the month and the up and downs that I managed to survive, not everybody was able to fluctuate so readily because their income was pretty steady. So if your monthly payment's doing this, and you've got some kids who are doing this, and you've got a husband or a wife that's doing this, and then your employment is also doing this, it can make it pretty challenging. Then there's also the interest-only rate or mortgage, where you're only paying the interest on the home and never making any payment toward the principal. Usually 3 to 5 years, that principal is going to have to be paid back. And back in 2007, 8, around that time, there was an abundance of homes on the market. Builders were building everywhere. Open houses, when I tried to hold an open house, it was a waste of my time because there was new construction everywhere. And as consumers, somebody who wanted to go and buy their first house, second house, third house, they could just go to a new home site, new construction, and see the houses perfectly ornate and well decorated by professional designers. Why would you want to come to the open house where I have just little old me, me, or you, who's decorated your house with funky stuff? Most of us, we don't have professional designers decorating our houses. So if I have a choice of going to a new construction home where it's nice and beautiful and the colors are perfect and the furniture is designer, that's where I'm going, even if I'm not even sure I want to look at a house. Or buy a house, I should say. That's what was going on back then. So I'm going the long route and the festive route to tell you that's what happened in 2007 and 2008, and helping you to understand why we really don't have much of concern of that happening now, because the builders are not building like they were back then in the early 2000s. And Mr. and Mrs. Smith are well seated in their homes because in the last decade, we weren't buying or selling adjustable rate loans or interest only loans because we saw that crash. It wasn't pretty. So most people who got a house back then didn't want to do that again. So it's a stable loan where we kind of know what the interest is going to be. We're familiar with what the monthly payment is going to be. And the only fluctuation that's going to happen in the monthly payments is usually going to be something that is because the value of the house is going up. So the taxes and the insurance have caused it to go up a little bit too. But at the same time, we're paying down on the principal, so it sort of It does a little bit, but it's kind of like right in here when it's moving. It's pretty level. See what I'm saying? So there is some fluctuation because the interest rates, not the interest rates, I apologize. The taxes on the value of your home do increase. And because the value of your home increases, so does the insurance to make sure that your home is insured for its proper value, but you're paying down on the principal, so it balances out well. I hope I made that pretty clear. So that's what happens with that. Um, but again, all in all, the reason that we want to invest in buying a home is because we're using other people's money to watch the value of the house increase. So the collateral, the house, it's increasing in value. Over the last couple of years, people who bought 2 years ago, may have seen their house increase by 10% just 2 years ago. And if you owned your house in 2007, it's increased probably, very likely, about 40%. So if you own a house now, it's a great time to sell. But you're concerned about where you're going to go. Well, yeah, the price has gone up. But is the neighborhood still where you want to be? Is it still giving you the same joy that it did when you first bought it? Are you still able to go to the same stores, the same restaurants? Or are you actually driving across town to go to the places that you want to go now? There's a lot of questions that you may want to ask yourself if you already own a house. But if you don't own a house, you've really got to make sure that you want to participate in the investment game because it is going to increase. It is absolutely going to increase. We don't have as many homes to sell as we did back in 2001, 2002, and the values are going to increase as well. The interest rates are going to increase. So if you're thinking about it, get on it. It's only going to be the right thing to do as far as investing in being a grown up. It's an adult thing to do. But yes, you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them when you're thinking about should I stay or should I go? It is an investment and there is the right time to get out of it. So that's just real quick. Why would I want to invest in real estate and why would I want to do it now? Just giving you my own personal testimony. It's using other people's money. You've got to live somewhere. You might as well be investing in yourself. Hey, if you are just checking me out every now and then, go ahead and subscribe. Because again, I might say something you want to hear. You don't want to miss it. I'm Arvlyn Lewis. I sell real estate.